TAE Media here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get a drink of this frap. Okay, now I'm ready to go. So if you haven't heard, you've been living under a rock if you're on the internet. What's been a sensitive topic on Twitter for the last, on the internet, not just Twitter, for the last, week and a half has been the, whatever, mics, man. A sensitive topic has been the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. It has already been, pretty much green-lighted. Joss Whedon is a part of it. The woman, forgive me, I don't remember her name, but she runs the one of the vampire shows on TV now, Midnight Texas, I believe, and it's them two working together on this Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot, and the headline, reads, "We're getting a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot with a black lead." And obviously it's a touchy subject, with all the real movement going on in Hollywood and in TV right now. There's a lot of people who are it's a conflicting thing about this because one, to a lot of people are sick of reboots, period. I am. I have no problem, I have no problem with the diversity plan that Joss Whedon has stated that this, or whoever stated that this is going to be an all-inclusive storyline and a Buffy universe show. I have no problem with that. I think we should have done. My stance on it, first of all, is we should have just done a sequel to Buffy. This should be a different Slayer. One of the potentials that became a Slayer. It should be with an entire diverse cast and stories. We could have easily just done a Buffy sequel in that universe, and it would have worked. I don't think we need to reboot Buffy. One, because the legacy that show left it's too big to fill, and you will never achieve with this new series, no matter who is the lead, what that old show did, because of the time it was in, what it started, what it stood for, and what it became. My biggest question was, how are you going to leave the legacy that Buffy left, with Angel, with Spike? Are we going to reboot all these characters? Are we going to reboot Willow? Are we going to reboot Xander? Or we can just leave him out. But are we going to reboot, Tara and Oz? How are we going to reboot this show that was not just iconic, not just because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer herself? There was so many components that made that show phenomenal and historic. Are we going to run the same stories? Apparently not. But that's what made Buffy, was its stories. So how can you reboot this and expect it to achieve the same thing, or achieve the same thing with a different way? And you can't really do that. And there's also just going to be an entire stigma next to this new reboot that this is Black Buffy. That's what it's going to be, and it's a stigma that this show is going to end up living with no matter what. And that's a little ridiculous to me. We should just make this a new show in the Buffy universe with a black lead, a black character. What's the harm in that? What is why are we not making an original story out of this universe with a diverse cast and diverse story? Excuse me. What are we doing that is so? What are we doing that is so? Where are we? Like, what is the? a lot of people have been asking this point blank question: what's the point? This doesn't make up for how much non-diversity there was in the '90s in television. This doesn't make up for everything that happened before. We should be spread like what we did with Black Panther was what happened with Black Panther was historic because you took an original character and you made it into this big thing, into this great story with a diverse cast. It made sense. You don't make Buffy. You don't reboot something that it's already has its place in history for its own reasons, and then redo that because now it's going to be twice as historic with this. That's not how it works. You can't do that. You can't reboot. You know who knows? You can't reboot Iron Man. Make him uh, a part of the. I mean, you can't make Iron Man a minority and then say, oh, this is going to be just as historic as the first Iron Man because we're doing this now. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't give it. You're just putting a giant stigma on the show, and you're really alienating people that are progressive, and then the idiots that won't watch anything that has a diverse cast at all because they're bigots. And you really need to. I think it's important to see through that line, because if you don't, you're gonna. This is going to fail. It's going to be it's going to make it's going to leave a stain on the history that is pretty damn great of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But what that show did completely erased how bad and goofy that movie was, and completely wrote a new legacy for not just female leads and female characters, but the storytelling in that show and the way they went about things with the goofy, like some of the goofiest stuff in that genre, and they took it and they made it mean something, and it really with Angel too, and it really just it did something that you can't repeat twice. And doing this is just it's sort of like with the Charm thing. I mean, I haven't really spoke on Charmed. I didn't, it's not something like I hold near and dear to my heart, or I think held some. I mean, Charmed was great, but don't tell me it holds the same historic place in television as Buffy. Like, it just doesn't. And for this too, it's sort of like that, and it's going to not. It's just gonna end up bad, and it's gonna end up. I don't know if the show will end up bad, but the whole the whole setup is gonna be bad, and even that headline was like ridiculous. We're gonna reboot Buffy, but with a black lead. That's progressive. Like, no, that's not. That's not what. You're not doing anybody any favors. You're not rewriting the past. You're not saving a show. You're not doing anything positive. That you're not. Buffy shouldn't be rebooted with any actress. I don't care if you put Sarah Michelle Gellar's twin as or if you put her twin as Buffy, and we're making this new show. It doesn't. No, it doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be rebooted. It doesn't need to be this idiocy with like a whole new. We're gonna reboot this whole new world. That was because the '90s was so, or the past is so broken. The show wasn't broken. Like this show was one of the right moves they made back then. And you're taking it and you're redoing it because it's popular. You're redoing it because it stood for something, and you're going to try to make it stand for more than what it stood for. And it's not going to turn out the way you think, and you're going to make it an entirely ridiculous. You're going to make a mockery of yourselves, of the show, and of the everything that happened, because you want to capitalize. It comes from a place. I respect Joss Whedon. Like he's one of the greatest of all time, right? What does he think? I don't even know what he's thinking doing this, because I can't tell if it's this oh, we're gonna make this a progressive move in history, or if we're capitalizing on the success of Black Panther, or and because Black Panther was its own thing, and it exceeded everybody's expectations. It became it took its place in history, right? And it is historic in its own right. It's going to live on for decades, maybe until maybe forever. Just like Buffy did, and we're going to reboot this because what's the true agenda here with, but what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be diverse? If so, why are we not just doing a different story? Why are we doing a different? You can keep it in the Buffy universe so we can play by them rules again and revisit that time again. We don't need to reboot the entire character. We don't need to reboot that entire story, because that story is Buffy's story, and if we reboot Buffy, we can't just. I mean, we'd have to reboot everything, right? Unless we're doing like a complete whitewash of Buffy. Like all the characters are going to be gone. There is no Angel. There is no Spike. There is no Willow, Xander, Dawn. Joyce, Giles. Are we rebooting all of them? Are we rebooting? Are we rebooting Angel? Himself. Angel takes his own place in history, in my opinion, in television. Are we rebooting him? Are we rebooting Spike? Who's, let's be honest, they can try to find a new Spike all they want. They will never find him. No one's going to replace what James Marsters did. I don't think anybody's going to replace what David or Sarah did either. So how are we going to, make this? What are we going to do to make this, not seem like a what's the word here? How are we gonna make this seem like a genuine try at something when it doesn't anywhere near look like that? It doesn't look like a move for this. It doesn't look like this wrong that needed to be righted, or it's not like that. So when you do something like this, it looks ridiculous. It'd be different if it was a different show. It'd be different, maybe. It'd be different if it was a different character, for sure. It would. I don't always have a problem with reboots. I don't. Like if they rebooted, like what's one of my favorite franchises? They rebooted Scream. That's fine. I mean, they did technically too, in a TV show, and it wasn't that bad. Uh, they rebooted Scream, and not the world didn't end, and it made sense, and it was kind of all right. You reboot Buffy, something that didn't really fail at all in its original form. It didn't need to be this thing. It's a different thing. It takes its place in history, and it has a grounding to it of the characters. You can always have another Ghostface. You can't have another Buffy. You can't have another. You can't. I mean, how this? It just doesn't make sense. I'm pretty much speechless on the thing, because this feels. It feels like some kind of politicking thing that we're all gonna have to suck up, because oh look, this is the way. It's the, oh look, this is the way that we're going to have more inclusion, within where we're going to rewrite everything that was wronged, and this is everyone's going to be included. This wasn't something that was wronged. Despite the lack of diversity in the main cast, it's not the show wasn't problematic. It wasn't offensive. It wasn't none of those things that would make it feel like it needed to be redone, in the right way. And fact that everybody, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel genuine. I don't really know what Joss Whedon's thinking. I respect the dude a hell of a lot. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. I don't know what you're thinking, man. I don't know. I don't know where you guys go from here, and then you tell and keep telling me that this is the right way. This is the only thing that we got. This is what needs to happen. It doesn't make sense. I sound like I'm rambling, but I sort of am, I guess. This is just. It feels like a disingenuous move. It really needs to. I think the thing with the reboots is you can reboot stuff for even for the sole purpose of diversity, but when you're rebooting it, have more than one reason to reboot it. Have more than oh, this would grab people's attention. That stuff doesn't always work. And then what's the most successful diverse, one of the most successful diverse events we've had in this time, where diversity is taking, precedence over a lot of things in Hollywood and in film and TV. Black Panther, original, its first try at it, and it blew the roof off of everything, off of everybody. Why are we not doing more things like that? Why are we not making more moves like that? What is the mindset of everybody that thinks, oh, if we redo this will make it right? It won't. It won't. And you're not doing anything by making this, you're not doing anything right by doing this. You're rebooting another show, that didn't need a reboot. That's all you're doing. This isn't gonna save, everybody. This isn't gonna help anybody. This isn't gonna make for a new, a new. This isn't gonna make for a new coming of age story. Where, oh, this is Buffy on the. It's probably gonna be. I mean, this is gonna be, at worst, a sad attempt at jumping on the progressive, wave that TV in Hollywood is going through, and it's gonna make it look like it's gonna make it look bad. No one's gonna accept it. No one's gonna, watch it, and everybody's probably gonna make fun of it. It's not a. This isn't something you do and claim, oh, this is the right thing, when it was never the wrong thing. And when you have something like, there's a lot of people out there too that are taking it a little too far with, Buffy doesn't need to be rebooted. To flip it on the other side real quick, I agree that it doesn't need to happen. I'd rather not, but there's people out there that are taking it too seriously. Like it's an insult to, women's rights, or I've seen some crazy stuff on the internet so far about this reboot. It's an insult to the feminism movement. I don't think rebooting a show is, it's not like Buffy's a guy now, so I don't think it's downplaying anything like that. I think some people are taking it too far, obviously, but people do with everything, especially television and movies and stuff. So I think you should take this with, I mean, if you don't want a reboot, speak out about it. Say something. It's don't go too far though. Like don't take it like it's a personal attack on you or anything like that. But also don't take it as if this is the only. Don't take it as if this isn't the wrong move too. Don't take. I'd say it's the wrong move. I say it's it doesn't feel by the comments alone about it. There's nothing about the reboot that is anything, to do like, oh, it was time for reboot. The show is outdated. There was no, oh, this generation needs to see this story. The television needs another Buffy more now than never. Nothing like that. They just said this entire show is going to be diverse and inclusive, and we're having a black Buffy. That's all. That's all that's been said. And that, to me, when you scream nothing but diversity about your show and nothing else with it, and it's a reboot of another show that already had its place in history, you sound disingenuous. You sound like honestly, you sound like you're trying to, you know you're trying to bait people into thinking this is going to be one thing, and we all know it's probably going to be another, and we all know that this isn't going to be like it was, and we all know it's not going to have the same impact like it did, because you're already tainting it by making it, trying to have a redo. That's not how you fix things. That's not how you improve things. We don't need redos. We need to take first steps. And Buffy's already hit the finish line. We need something new, and something original, and we need something that does feel like, oh, we're actually trying out there, not, oh, this is us trying. We fixed this. Watch this. That we don't need that. So, sorry for the rant. This is TA Media. Do we need a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot at all? No. Do we need more diverse shows in movies with, original characters and content? Or, take your pick from, if you want to reboot, think of thousands of diverse characters from the past that you can reboot. Yeah, why don't you try that? Chill out with the rebooting. Chill out with trying to do the redos. You're not helping anybody. Peace out.